Hi, welcome to Morningstar. I'm Emma. We're joined today by Morningstar Equity Research Shaun Ler to talk about one of the most talked about stocks on the ASX 200 this year, Zip. Shaun, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Emma. My pleasure.
Shaun, before we kick off, I want to get your response to this piece of research that's just come out from ASIC, which shows that 1 in 5 people missed a buy now, pay later payment in fiscal 2019. Were you surprised that that many people had missed payments?
Well, Emma, I would say that first of all, users need to be very, very careful of using buy now, pay later products, because these firms are very, very skilled at marketing and branding. And perhaps this also indicates the fact that many users still do not understand the true cost of using a buy now, pay later product. Now, though not charging interest, we need to remember that buy now, pay later players make up for this via a range of account fees, late fees, etc. There's no such thing as a free lunch in this world. Afterpay's late fees have averaged about 14% of receivables over the last 3 years. Zip's revenue use about 16%, similar to credit cards. So it kind of points towards buy now, pay later products more being used as credit or as an avenue to spend more and potentially even kick the can down the road. So I think this points towards, both users need to be aware of the nature of buy now, pay later services, and buy now, pay later companies need to do a better job in marketing their products as budgeting tools. So I mean, there's lots of things going on behind the scenes that we need to be aware about.
Do you think that ASIC or any other regulatory body will use this research to jumpstart regulatory change in the industry? Is there anything coming that you're worried about? And can you just walk us through quickly what is already in the works?
So there are numerous things in the pipeline. For example, the RBA is currently going through a payments review, which could see the no surcharge rule being scrapped. And of course, there's also this constant debate on whether buy now, pay later companies could be considered as credit. And if they need to do so, they would need to be subject to responsible lending obligations and will need to go through a more stringent process when onboarding their customers, for example. Now, look, we are sort of in a quite a unique scenario. Just looking at the ASIC report, it does point towards consumers being more high risk. But if you realize ASIC, similar to the recent FinTech Senate inquiry, have stopped short of recommending any prescriptive regulations on buy now, pay later players. So the FinTech Senate inquiry was arguing that the sector needs more innovation. You can't have a one-size-fits-all approach. And ASIC also hinted towards more room for self-regulation. So to me, if I can speculate, I would also think that buy now, pay later, these products are sort of seen as necessary for the time being to help support the economy because they can help, because they have been proven to make consumers spend more, sort of helping to help retailers under this challenging retail landscape. So regulators will no doubt be monitoring their loss rates and their arrears, which so far have been quite good. So I mean, it's still, things are still quite uncertain at the moment, but it does point towards the environment being slightly more benign rather than draconian.
So you reinitiated coverage of Zip from Morningstar at the end of last month. You put a $4.50 fair value on the stock, which places the stock at the moment in about a 2-star territory, which means that you think that it's currently overvalued. Can you walk us through how you reached that fair value for Zip?
Without being too detailed, all of these buy now, pay later players share a very similar set of drivers. There being population penetration, spend per customer, merchant margins, loss rates. So definitely, I'm expecting things like population penetration and spend per customer to grow. There's a lot of ways to value these buy now, pay later companies nowadays. But just looking at just trying to put things into perspective. Zip's share price have been quite volatile over the past 6 months. Now, taking the average of the top and the bottom over the past month or so gives us a price of about $6.60. Now, at $6.60, this assumes Zip would either have a higher net transaction margin than Afterpay and have a customer base close to the entire of Australia's population by 2030, or have the same net transaction margin as Afterpay and have a customer base close to the whole of Australia and New Zealand's current population by 2030, each spending about $1,000 and $1,700. Now, I think that people are forgetting that Zip is a comparably more capital-intensive business. Its receivables book is higher risk, so it needs to conduct credit checks, which slows down customer additions, and its key growth engine, QuadPay, is essentially a more expensive buy now, pay later product, which lacks differentiation. So to this end, while we assume that Zip's population penetration and spend per frequency to increase, we are not expecting them to grow as quick as what consensus in the market is factoring in. And because Zip's, for example, for QuadPay, its merchant margins are also comparably higher, about twice of Afterpay in the US. So we are also expecting to see some compression in margins over there.
Great. Thank you, Shaun, for joining us today. If anyone wants to hear more about what Shaun thinks about Zip, he's got his initiation coverage of Zip up on Morningstar Premium. You can go there, download the report and read that. Shaun, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks, Emma.
Any advice in this video is general advice prepared by Morningstar without reference to your financial objectives, situation, or needs. You should consider the advice in light of these matters and any relevant product disclosure statement before making any decision to invest.